for some, it's a journey that can take years, and for others, it's a journey that can happen in moments or days. That complete comprehension that everyone's doing the best that they can within their level of awareness. But what they do discover is that when they integrate that knowledge, that they are more peaceful. And that's the important thing, because then they are radiating higher. They're radiating closer to the vibration of love. If we feel anger, resentment, a lack of forgiveness toward other people, we're not harming the people that we're directing that energy at. We're only harming ourselves. We separate ourselves from being happy. We separate ourselves from the abundance and freedom that comes with vibrating to the vibration of love. So it's an important first step. And the steps continue. There are many, many, many steps that help us to become more peaceful. Another one that I work on with a lot of clients, and I can appreciate this more than most people because I wasn't there in the beginning, but that is to really start to understand your own judgment. The people that I bring into my life now, in comparison to 10 years ago, I'd say they are less judgmental than the people I was surrounding myself with 10 years ago, me included. And a lot of them are pretty proud of the fact that they don't judge others based on their religion or their race or their manner of speech or whatever other physical parameters they can note. So they feel proud. I'm not judgmental because I'm not, put off by this or that or the other thing. But what is hard to recognize in the beginning is how pervasive judgment is. Many people get to the point that they're past judging others based on their religion or their appearance or basic, factors that we can see. And then they feel proud. But when we start to look at how pervasive judgment really is, start to notice that we're judging on other factors as well. We're judging on someone's height, their hair texture, what they do for a living, what they do during their leisure time, whether they drink alcohol or don't, what's their language like, do they use their language correctly, what kind of car do they drive. It's limitless, the numbers of things that we are judging people on. And even though we think that we're doing so great because we accept all races and religions and we love all people, when you really start to look at what's going on in your head, you can see that there are still these other judgments. But then I have a fair number of clients and audiences that get to the point where they're not judging people by the car that they drive or the number of letters after their name or what they're doing for a living or how many kids they have or who their spouse is if they have one and so on. And then they're even more proud, look how good I've done. But it still continues. It still continues. Then where our judgment begins is we judge the quality of someone's life. If someone is depressed, we judge them as being less fortunate than us. We judge a homeless person because they don't have the quality of life that we deem worthy. We judge people in however they create their life, and we judge them based on their own happiness or how they're showing how happy they are. We judge people who quote unquote cheat. We judge people who practice a different political affiliation. We judge people based on their philosophy, their ideas, their ideology, their choices. So becoming judgment-free is another process, but it's a worthy one. Because once again, judgment never challenges the person whom you are judging, unless you were to take an action based on that judgment. The judgment in your mind is only harming you. You're limiting yourself. You're limiting your ability to be vibrating at a high vibration. You're limiting your own peace. You're limiting your understanding of the value of all and the richness of the variety that there is in everyone's human experience. And the more you understand that everyone's doing the best that they can within their level of awareness, the more you can let go of judgment about the quality of other people's journeys. When I see people who are living in what I would perceive as being really challenging lifestyles or life circumstances, I recognize that they might not be ready for the next awakening yet. They might not have grown their self-love to the point that they have the courage to stand up and to make a change. They might not know that they're worthy of having a higher quality life. But where they are in the moment is the best that they can do. And so I appreciate that moment. And if they are inquisitive or curious, or they want perhaps guidance about how they can move or shift from those circumstances, then I or others who understand universal wisdom can help them find another way. And it does really come from teaching them to love themselves, teaching them to honor that they are important and that they are worthy and that they're unique and original, and that regardless of what anyone ever told them throughout their whole life, they have a purpose and that they matter and that they're worth being loved and they're worth being valued and appreciated for exactly who they are in this moment, whatever that moment looks like. And that's the journey. It's about helping others to see that we have to let go of judgment first if we're going to be of any value to helping others to grow in their ability to vibrate with the vibration of love.
And you're talking there about unconditional love, aren't you, when you say that people are love worthy regardless of anything that's going on in their lives. You bring them to a sense of self-love, which is really unconditional self-love, don't you?
Yeah, it does all begin with unconditional self-love. It all begins with knowing that you have always done the best that you can within your level of awareness as well. And that means letting go of regret, forgiving yourself for actions that you did or did not take, letting go of the feeling that you should be more or have done more, to know that whatever it is that you have done up until this moment, that you always did the best you could within your level of awareness. So yeah, unconditional love means accepting exactly the way things are today. It doesn't mean saying that I want to freeze this and there's no room for growth or development or new awakenings. It means to accept the way that it is in this moment. It doesn't mean that I should say there are certain things I have to change about myself and then I will love myself. It means loving yourself at your present appearance, at your present weight, at your present level of circumstances. And the more love that you can experience for yourself, the brighter tomorrow begins to look, because you radiate an energy that magnetizes in circumstances and people that are vibrating at that higher vibrational level as well. So it's basically giving you the edge toward getting to more of the things that it is that you want, because this great infinitely wise universe is going to help you by bringing you steps to getting more of what it is that you want, more of what it is that you're capable of, more of what it is that you define yourself as being capable of being. Unconditional love is a term that's very often misunderstood, and I like to use a client as an example of how misunderstood it could be. I was having a first session with a client, and she started to describe a friend of hers' behavior. I believe that her friend was cheating on her husband, another word I love, but anyway, she was describing that her friend was cheating on her husband, but because she loves her unconditionally, she had to tell her exactly how she felt about it. So it's such an interesting thing that people on earth will use the term unconditional love as an excuse to pass judgment, and that's really all it is passing judgment. She judged whatever her perception was about monogamy or marriage, as something that's superior to the way her friend was behaving, and it was her duty to inform her friend of her wrongdoing. That's not love without condition. That's conditional love. So unconditional love means that you accept your friend, you accept her choices. If your friend has curiosity about your perception of it, or about thinking of a different angle, or she asks your opinion, then she's opening up an opportunity for you to have a conversation. And that conversation can come from love, and it doesn't need to come from judgment, because the more judgmental you are, the more you will put conditions on how much love you experience with another person. But when you remove judgments, and this is not an easy thing to do, you can accept that this journey is unfolding for this person within their level of awareness, as can be very beneficial to them and to all of the people involved. In this particular circumstance, who are we to judge what circumstances anyone should be in or create as being superior to someone else's? So unconditional love means acceptance. It means appreciating and valuing someone regardless of how their lives or anything about them measures up to what you perceive as being ideal. That's what unconditional love is.
So is the development of unconditional love the main thing that you hope to do with your clients, or that you work to do as the main theme of the enlightenment and the self-growth that you're helping people towards?
For sure, we begin with looking at ourselves. Every adult that hasn't been seeking removing the misbeliefs of the human journey, they have some kind of modicum of repression of their soul. They're living in human footsteps and in human shoes. So we always begin by saying, what are those masks and layers that you're carrying? Some of the exercises that we do have to do with acknowledging the identity that you have selected based on all of the influences in your life and what their expectations are of you. And I do a 3-day weekend just on self-love. So this exercise is really profound for people to understand what molded them and shaped who they are today, and help them to determine how many of the circumstances of their life were chosen because they wanted them, and how many circumstances of their life were thrust upon them because they were trying to meet the expectations of someone else or some other influence. That influence goes beyond our parents. It goes to whatever religion we're practicing, whatever the culture of our environment is, whatever political system we orientate ourselves toward, whatever is going on in the media. There are expectations about what we should do, how we should perform, who we should be, or how we should look. And they influence the identity that we select by the time that we come into adulthood. By the end of one of those particular weekends, a person is very clear about selecting who they really are, what they're passionate about, what they're curious about, what makes them soar, what makes them happy, what's invigorating. And we leave the weekend by aligning with that identity and purposefully taking steps and thinking and feeling toward allowing that to expand and blossom in our journeys. And that's where it all begins.